Welcome everyone, Mark Stokes here from Apollo Intranet, just doing my day 2 summary, quick recap of what I got involved in yesterday, and also I've got Darrell and Nick here with me as well, so they can introduce themselves and talk about what they did yesterday. Yesterday was a really good day for me. I took in a couple of sessions. I focused on the Graph API, which was very interesting, some really good updates there that I found useful. Things around authentication that's big for us on non-SharePoint framework apps and using Graph API and other web applications. That's huge for us at the moment, so I was really happy to see that. I got involved in some SharePoint Spaces stuff, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a moment. I'm really excited about this, and I know Darrell you are as well. And then I took on the Flow versus Logic apps. So that was a really interesting, another area that I'm very interested in at the moment, Microsoft Flow. So that was a good day for me. I spent some time walking the exhibitor floor as well, and that's something I don't normally do at conferences, so I've been quite interested today talking to those. So that was my kind of day through, and some social stuff in the evening, but I'm very interested to hear what you guys learned yesterday and what you got up to.
I'll let you go ahead first, Darrell.
Well, yesterday or today, Mark?
Yesterday.
Oh, bother. Okay. This
is our day 2 summary, which of course we're doing at the end of day 2.
Bother. Okay. Day 2.
Definitely day 2. Right?
I've totally got my head packed with day 3 right now. Day 2. Oh,
You want to think
bother. I'll just have to go here. Go check my calendar. Hang on.
Yeah. All right. Well, while he's doing that, I'm kind of I take an opposite approach to how you do things. I actually spend a lot of time in the expo hall, not so much visiting the vendors and stuff, but talking to the product groups. Right. There are a lot of focus groups going on, both invite only and then like more public ones where you can share your experiences with the product teams and actually learn a little bit about what's coming down the road, and those are very valuable to me. You were talking about messing with SharePoint Spaces. Of course, you can go to the expo hall and you can just play with SharePoint Spaces. It's still early, but it's really fun to play with. So that's pretty much what I did yesterday. I recorded a podcast, my first time doing anything at Incite really for as far as presenting goes, and that's been a dream of mine for several years. So that was great. I've been exhausted, as I'm sure you are. When you told me it was only day 2, even if it were day 3 right now, I'm exhausted and it's all running together. I thought it was Thursday when I woke up. It is not. It is definitely not that day.
Yeah. So that's definitely what happened to me yesterday. I think yesterday the tiredness kicked in and realising that's day 2. The amount I've walked, I mentioned this yesterday as well. I think I managed another 6 miles as well, walking around. And actually, the other thing that I realised is coming in is going to be all about what did I learn from the sessions I've been to. And actually, what I've come to realise is Ignite is not just about the sessions, it's everything else that's going on. It is the exhibitor hall, it is the hands-on labs, it is the podcasting that's going on, it is everything else, it is the interaction with the product groups and the network, and this is stuff that you realise is just so much more intense here than any other conference I typically go to.
Exactly. I have only gone to 2 sessions this week, and it was the keynotes. And I knew ahead of time kind of what they were going to talk about, but it's always presented in a new way, so it's good to go to. But beyond that, I have not been to a single session. I've just been interacting with the product groups, networking, going to the social events. I, of course, earmarked all the sessions. I'm going to watch all of the ones I want to watch later. But that's not why you get your ticket to go to this. You can watch those online whenever you want.
Yeah.
This is the value that you get out of that.
Absolutely. And that's a great thing, just seeing the quality of the Microsoft guys that come out of the product group. They're all here, they're walking the floor, and you do actually get to talk to them. Yeah.
So Darrell.
So yeah, now that I remembered what I did today, look, and forgive me for having to look at my calendar because today has been really busy. But I did have something to prepare for, quite a podcast. And so Dan and I, we do the 365 Message Center show, and we had the privilege of using that main stage, the Channel 9 sort of setup. That was really cool. Yeah, I know. But we also had a guest on that we'd been wanting to talk to for some time. Mike Ziok is a senior engineer, and he looks after the space of the roadmap and the 365 Message Center. So he has that visibility of how does something go from development to roadmap to how does it go from roadmap to get into the Message Center and letting people know about it. And so he was able to take us through that journey and talk about some real things that we had discussed and things that the community actually had an impact in changing. Think of that one about the Office 365 groups. that they decided it was going to be a great feature to automatically create them for every manager and direct report, exactly. And that was going to be an automatic thing. Because it dropped into the message center, they were able to, give their feedback before it actually went live. So that was really good to hear that, and among other things. So that was one highlight. Yes, I spent some time at SharePoint Spaces. My intention was to try and capture that in an immersive fashion as well. I thought, hey, let's get all Inception-like about it. So I pulled out a 360 camera, I had my mic, and the idea was I interviewed the person in the booth about the actually he was responsible for the UI and sort of that whole thinking about what is it like to have a space and how do we make this layout and be interactive.
That's an interesting challenge because actually you are editing your 3D space in a 2D environment, so that's an interesting challenge then.
Yeah, and so for them it's more about, we know that you've got 360 content, whether it be models or videos or photos, but we want to provide an easy way for you to get that content so people can interact with it. So maybe managed to capture that. We'll see how it turns out, and be a little inceptionized. So that's cool. I think the other thing that I finished off with on that day was a talk that Dean Swan and Simon Denton and I were really passionate about, which is the evolution of the IT Pro. And so it is more of a thought leadership session. It wasn't technical, but we're really trying to get across that at this pivotal moment where everything's speeding up and Satya's talking about tech intensity and everything's just, well, that makes me nervous thinking about intensity. I want to break.
Yeah, it's already intense. I'm tired all the time.
I want to switch over to rather from long distance running to interval training, and I want us to build in gaps again so we can actually stop and breathe. And so our session was about, what do we need to do as IT pros to start thinking about change and changing our attitude, and as almost a way of thinking about this conference, what can we do to come back from this conference with all this inspiration and ideas and think about getting people on board with it, and what does it mean to kind of take our part in change management in terms of user adoption. So that was really well received, and we had some good questions about that afterwards. We spent some time in the immersion zone talking further with people who wanted to share their stories. And I think that's the last thing that I would say about it, that came out of that session, and what I'm encouraging everyone as I talk to them is
spending a lot of time in that
share that story, because we can talk about tech and that's good, but it's the story that gives it the context.
Absolutely. I think I totally agree, and like I said before, I think that's the big thing that I've discovered yesterday. And actually all the other stuff that comes around it, and I think that is the true value. So it's been a good day.
We tomorrow are going to even be doing a presentation or a meetup around the technology to make this content that we're making right now. Right, definitely tomorrow. It sounded really cool, and I'm sure it'll turn out great.
Absolutely.
And
it'll be in a room similar to this, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of other pieces to all of this beyond the tech that maybe doesn't get as much attention as it should. I agree with you on that evolution of the IT Pro. That's been something that I've been trying to keep up with myself, because it's very easy to fall behind on that.
It is. I think you hit on a big point actually, is the fact that we need time to stop and breathe. Microsoft is moving so damn fast right now. Like, there is no let up. There's no stopping. For people in our position who are actually presenting content out, helping facilitate user groups, helping go in, the old 3-year deployment cycle was great. You get an intense focus on updates, and then you plan your content over the 3-year cycle. It is just new. It's so hard to keep up.
So the tactic that I'm seeing, and it even came out of the debate that we had tomorrow, was that we have to approach this in a community sense. And so this is where Collab 365 comes in, regarding 365, and really just finding the people around you that are like-minded, so that we can focus on a certain thing, diversify a little, and understand things at a shallower level. But as a community, we don't feel like we need to know everything as individuals. We can share that load and be willing to, I think one of my main points was get comfortable with not knowing everything. You are never going to know everything.
That's really interesting, because there was the days back in the old days of SharePoint when you did know most of the technology and you could be that thought leader out there, but actually Microsoft's almost giving community back really, because you're right, we're in the position now where I can't be the person who knows everything about everything. It's just too damn big. But actually, communities come back in, so I need to rely on other people to give me that information back who are in my community. So rather than our user groups and our communities being about us presenting at people all the time, we actually need those people to give back. How they're doing it, how they're using it, what problems they find them.
For you guys then too, because I feel that this is potentially just part of the ethos and the makeup of us as IT pros. we get really good at something, we make it our career, we get really deep in that sort of focus. But we have this sort of false expectation on ourselves. It's unfair to know everything. How do you think we can try and take a part in changing that mindset?
I think that's an interesting question. I think the first thing is that you admit as a leader in the community that you don't know everything.
Be authentic about it.
Be authentic, be honest. You talk about what you know about, and you bring other experts in to help where you have gaps. Everyone has gaps, no one knows everything.
So how do we
say they do the lying?
How do we deal with that awkward situation when someone asks us a question about a feature that they think we should know about?
So I don't know, but
I would not say I don't know.
I know. I know this person.
I would say that. I would
in,
skip
and
straight
I'll
to
let
that.
them answer that question.
Right.
Yep, exactly. I know Darrell. He's over here. Let me introduce you to Darrell. Or if you're in a professional environment, you may not have a Darrell at work. I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you go and you do the research and ask Darrell online or whoever.
Yeah.
I think we kick into that mode, and it's almost like it's a sales kind of technique as well. You don't want to admit that you don't know, and there's that instance like of, but I think that mindset's changing too, especially as organisations are getting used to this pace of things that's happening. They themselves don't know about many things. So I think we all need to get comfortable with saying, I don't know, but between us, let's find out. Yep. And I think that invites us, not only other IT pros, but the people we support into that process to make it a conversation. So we're all exploring that technology and potentially turning it on and checking it out, trying it out, proof of concepts, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. I think that's really interesting. This is one thing I love about being at Incite, and this is what the first couple of days has actually taught me, is the fact that actually it's brought these questions out. How do we actually learn from what we're doing, people talking with, and how do we take that back? So Incite's given us this opportunity to reevaluate what we do as well and how we present stuff out. So yeah, it's been a really good day. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the AvPoint party tonight. Apparently that's legendary. So yeah, I think that should be
I hope we can all get in.
I hope we can all get in.
We'll find out.
We'll find out later. And of course the Cloud 365 dinner that we're going to have.
Yeah, it's probably going to be fun. I'm sure there'll be like 10 or 12 of us might show up. We'll see.
And that's some ribs maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. I will be back tomorrow, 5 minutes tomorrow, to give a recap on day 3.